Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected, and welcome to day 5 of Business Continuity Awareness Week. Once again, I'm with Jason Haas, and Jason, today we're going to talk about lessons learned, learning from the past, right?
That's the plan, and got a lot of great lessons to share, and I figure my career, my journey is paved with failures, and I'm looking forward to discussing them.
Yeah, mine too. You know, I've tripped and fallen so many times, but now I can laugh at them. But
Right,
I don't see that as failure. Failure is tripping and staying down. You know,
right,
you
right,
get
for
back up,
sure.
you're not failing.
Yeah, I'm too stubborn to stay down.
I think I am now too, but I think that comes with time.
Right.
When you're able to learn, because that's what we're going to talk about today. When you're able to learn and you go through these experiences and you're learning from every single one, when you do fall down, it becomes a matter of pride of, well, I've beaten all the other ones. Why this one's not going to beat me? And up you get right off the bat.
For sure. Just like anything, continuous improvement is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and it's exercised by failing.
That's right. Now you have some stories to share, some lessons that you've learned.
Sure. Gosh, I'll bring up probably, yeah, I think it's one of my biggest failures yet. And at the time, very traumatic. And most likely we've touched on it in previous episodes, but the whole reason why I'm in Colorado. So born and raised in Northern Illinois, after college, moved to Wisconsin, worked there for a bit, and then started a business with way too many partners. Don't do that. After a while, I divested myself from that business, stuck around for a while as a transitional period, eventually realized that things weren't going to work out. So thought to move things to greener pastures, found an opportunity in Colorado. Somebody I'd known for 20-ish years. If you pay attention to previous episodes, you might even hear a first name. Not going to say it today. I'm a little bit more aware of it this time. Whoops. But anyways, you
And they
want to say
will they
something
will
there?
hear it because I didn't edit it out.
Awesome. Good. That person's name deserves to be said loudly. He's lucky I didn't say a last name with it. But anyways, um, bringing it back to why I'm in Colorado. So I moved out to Colorado with my family, wife, 2 children, 2 dogs, all at a very young age. My daughter, I believe, was in first grade at the time, son in kindergarten, so littles. And moved out to Colorado to acquire a business. A gentleman who had operated it for and owned it for 20 plus years was kind of getting as long in the tooth. He was looking to retire. Also, he owned a software business as well. And I was looking to be a partner of both a software business and a photography business. Things look great on paper, which, by the way, first mistake one, failure, no paper. It was the gentleman's agreement. You figure you know somebody for 20 some years, a handshake and their word is enough. It's not. I don't care who it is. Heck, if my mom wanted to start a business with me, I'd make her into a contract these days after that experience. So, just like in many regulated environments, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Just like my business agreement with my former partner here in Colorado. So we had a verbal agreement, which, call it what you will, big mistake on my part. And it had a 90-day poison pill clause, kind of a try before you buy. So we get through it 88 days in, and my partner blows it up on me unexpectedly. No idea why. Out of a career, out of a job, out of income. And we were also staying in a condo of his as well. That went sideways. But the lessons learned in that failure is one, if you think you know somebody, when it comes to money and business, you don't know anyone. You can't trust anyone. Get lawyers involved, get legal involved, get things signed and all of that. I could have probably had a case on my hands for litigation, but I was naive enough and trusting enough that I made a massive mistake. And because of that, it put my family at risk. And that led to other issues as well. So, lesson learned there, failed spectacularly. In the end, it's one of my favorite failures. It absolutely sucked in the day, and in that time there was other things going on too with my wife is a high functioning alcoholic, 2 little kids, down to a single income that eventually led to no income with a family of four. And that's got challenges in itself. But I learned a lot that day. I learned that photography was no longer for me. That career, I was never going to earn at the level that I wanted to. It wasn't going to really improve myself personally. And it was just something that I started to not love anymore. And when you fall out of love with a career or passion, it is definitely time to move on. Otherwise, you're going to tailspin and burn out. So,
Mhm.
as hard as it was to fail spectacularly, to impact my family, at the end of the day, I'm so glad it happened because it started a chain of events that I could have never ever have planned for. Um, which, we're going to dive into that a little bit more there. One, it shined a light on my spouse's addiction. When all of a sudden I have a lot of ample free time, you start noticing behaviors of your spouse and things that are happening that you just no longer wish to accept.
Mhm.
That was one of them. But as in with alcoholism, it's not, the spouse's choice. It's not my choice to tell my spouse, you're done. It'll never, ever work. She had to come to her own conclusion on that, which thank you, COVID, for helping expedite that. Um, Again, ended a career that was not going to support my family. Gosh, being a photographer, you get paid minimum wage. You're working tens of jobs to try to meet the demands of a family to pay your rent. Living in Colorado, very high housing costs and things like that. So it made it even harder. All of a sudden, I found myself as a freelance photographer working almost every day, every weekend, every night, every breathing moment that I could. And it still was never enough. So burnout was going to be something very, very real. So getting punched in the face with saying no business for you in Colorado, I accept that. A bonus that came out of part of the reason why I came to Colorado, well, that organization that recruited me to hopefully buy that business paid for my family to move out to Colorado. Kind of a sweet gig, think about it. Came out to Colorado to own a business, ended up moving out here for free instead. I guess I accept that. Moving's not cheap, especially with a family. So I'm thankful that that got covered and through much terse conversations with my former partner, he ended up reimbursing me for that full agreed upon amount. It was probably one of the only few things that he held to his word on. And it wasn't because he felt bad, it's because I held him accountable to that. Uh, so there's that. And enabled a shadow career in IT. Growing up, I've always played with computers. I born in 75. So just as technology and personal computers that were the size of, pieces of luggage today, all of a sudden was that home computer dad would bring home from work. And, I'd stare at that little green screen with like a DOS prompt or something like that and try to type things in and make it go beep, boop, and whatever else. And amazing at the time because there was nothing else like that. My school didn't even have that kind of technology. So that instilled to me just curiosity with this new fandangled computer thingy. And, gosh, probably one of my favorite things in school that really connected me to IT was back in the day of Beverly Hills Cop, the Axel Foley song. And, if you're not familiar with it, go Google it. I remember getting a bunch of Commodore 64s together to play that song. I think it took like 6 or 7 Commodores to do that. And that was so much fun writing, the little Commodore 64 code, whatever that was, base, whatever, and just making it do something that I couldn't do myself. So that was fascinating and just baked that curiosity into me to pay attention to technology, knowing that was going to be my future. Well, maybe unknowingly at the time. Um,
And that kind of happened with me with getting into this industry as well, because I was in hospitality. And at that time, you were ringing things in using PLU numbers, price lookup numbers. So if you wanted a steak, you would ring in 210, with French fries, oh, modifier 35, and that's how you would ring things in. Computers weren't being used yet, not for inventory, not for payroll, not for anything. But I could see a couple of restaurants, big name restaurants where I lived, were starting to bring them in. And I thought, well, that's going to happen here with the company I'm in. So let's go to school, let's learn how to use these things. And sure enough, I went, almost finished the course. I did finish the course, but I was near the end. And my best friend asked me, why don't you come to the bank where he was working and do something for us for a couple of months before you go back into, the hospitality industry. He goes, get your foot in the door, a little bit of a different experience. And when I got there, it was business recovery planning was the title. And I knew absolutely nothing about it, but I just fell in love with it. So that's how I got into it. But it started off with, I need to learn how to use a computer.
Right. And I just remember growing up, which, I thank my parents and my grandparents for instilling this curiosity in me. As a child, I was naturally curious, therefore getting into everything and probably getting in trouble way more than I should have. When I was at my grandma's house, for her to keep me out of trouble, she would give me like an old clock radio, unplugged, of course, and like a set of tools and she challenged me, disassemble it and reassemble it until it works. And, that would just take so many hours out of my day trying to figure it out. It's really easy to disassemble it, trying to remember how to assemble it and those order of operations and getting things to work. And when you plug it in to see if it'd smoke, pop, catch on fire, whatever. Um, but that instilled that natural curiosity and exposed me to technology, which helped really underscore and enable that shadow career. So once photography, I determined that it was no longer my path forward. It was the pivot into IT. And, I worked in IT in a local school district for a while, supporting schools directly with IT services. So in the classroom, supporting teachers and administration to enable the education process, computer repair, board repairs, replacing monitors, fixing software, fixing users, all those wonderful things that come in with desk side support. And I did that for a while and then realized that also isn't really paying the bills. It's really sad when you're paid monthly and that 1 month check is your rent and that's it. So knowing that I was not going to get rich off of IT support for school systems, I was hungry and I really liked working in education. So I found the next role there, which was a senior support technician. So instead of supporting schools, you support the building, the administration, the superintendent, the board of education, and all those other directors, executive directors, so on and so forth. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth and found business resilience, business continuity. I approached IT support very differently. It's not just a computer problem. It's not, oh, you just need my password for an update. It's getting to know people, building relationships, finding out how the user is trying to interact and abuse that technology to achieve a goal. Because the technology side, in all honesty, is real simple from a support perspective. It either works or it doesn't. There's, limitations to what it can and can't do, but engage that user, find out how they want to use it. Is it the appropriate solution for them? Are there other solutions out there? And just build that relationship. You get to know the user, you can solve all sorts of problems beyond technology. And I
Yeah.
had a leader within the school system see that. And one day he pulled me to the side and like, hey, I've got this role coming up that's going to be open. I'd like you to apply for it. And I looked at him like, oh, is that manager of change management, business continuity, and disaster recovery? He's like, yeah. I'm like, didn't you see I already applied for it? Because I was attracted to it again, chasing dollars and the feel goods, wanting to stay in a school district and still provide for my family. And I love the wage assigned to it. It was like, holy cow, I can pay my rent, groceries, a couple of bills, and probably still have like $5 left over. What an amazing opportunity. So just, leaned into that really hard. And, I ended up interviewing as COVID unrolled. In fact, it was, gosh, what, 10, 15 minutes before my final interview for that role, where I found out I was exposed to COVID early on in the pandemic. Who knows if you were going to live or die? There was no vaccinations. It was just masking and hand sanitizing and social distancing. Those were the solutions of the time.
Yep.
And it was really nerve wracking. But in the end, you figure it out. There was nothing I could do about it. COVID wasn't going to go away, nor was that information that I was exposed to it. So closed the door to the office that I had because I was really cool. I had my own office. Haven't had one since, but it was really nice. Close the door, panic, find some old computer surplus that was going to be disposed of, you know, break it up a little bit, get that angst and frustration and anxiety out of me of going, I've been exposed to COVID. Nobody knows what to do. I'm going to die, break things. And then collect myself because I got an interview to do. And I've got an opportunity in front of me that I just need to calm down, focus, breathe, and lean into it. There's nothing I could have done about the exposure to COVID. I'm glad that I was able to support the person who had exposed me. Wasn't so happy with them saying, now that I've exposed you to COVID, my computer is still acting wonky. Can I come back in and you fix it? You know, the answer was no. That I think that was my entire email. No. And just closed out email, logged into the Teams chat, and I had the panel in front of me. I was in my office, door closed and locked, and I just leaned in and we did an interview. It was absolutely amazing.
Good. On that note, we've come to the end of our first segment. We're talking once again with Jason Haas on Business Continuity Awareness Week, Day 5, on learning from the past, and we will be right back. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.